What's up guys, Mike here, the Detroit Borg with a look at the Blackberry Z10. This is personally my very first Blackberry to ever review on this channel, so I'm really looking forward to it. Now the Z10 is part of an all-new offensive from Blackberry to regain its market share lost to Android and Apple. So the Z10 is sporting Blackberry's all-new operating system, Blackberry OS 10, or Blackberry 10 OS, I keep doing that, Blackberry 10 OS. There are two devices that are launching in this first round of products, the Z10, which we have here, which is kind of like a traditional touchscreen smartphone, and then we have the Q10, which is a traditional BlackBerry type smartphone with a QWERTY keyboard. Now this is the unlocked international version, but this will be coming to the US on all the major carriers such as AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Part of the new Blackberry is the fact that they're no longer called Research in Motion or RIM, they're just called Blackberry. But the funny thing is the Z10 packaging, at least on this international version, still refers to Research in Motion. So it looks like they made that kind of a last minute decision. Alright, so let's go ahead and cut the seals here. Alright, so let's just lift the lid here. And there is the Z10, and as you can tell I have the white version. Now this is available in black or white. So you can see we have that white back panel, the white sides and the white bezel. I think it looks pretty sharp. So within the package we'll find some of our accessories. So we lift this little tray here. Looks like we got our literature here on the top. So we got Blackberry smartphone. Looks like safety and product information. We also have our quick start guide here. It tells us a little bit about the phone, how to use some of its features. There you go, nice and colorful pamphlet. We have reference to our Snapdragon S4 processor here, so a little flyer here telling us about that. And we have some of our accessories. So we have our earphones, which include a remote control and a microphone. So they look like kind of crummy headphones, but we're going to have to take a look to see how those sound. We also have our micro USB cable here with the Blackberry branding on it, white to match the phone. And we have our battery. So this has a removable battery, so if you want to purchase a replacement battery just to keep on hand, that's certainly an option for you. This is an 1800 milliamp battery, by the way. And that's it in that compartment. Here we should have some more accessories. Whoops, there we go. Okay, now I have the UK wall adapter here, which I can't use. So there we go, our Blackberry branded UK wall adapter, USB wall adapter for charging. Alright, so let's get to the star of the show, the Blackberry Z10. So we have a little cover here covering the glass. That's the front. Along the back, let's this tab. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look around the Blackberry Z10. So on the back you have that white plastic panel with that stippled pattern here, so it gives a nice grippable texture. It's also very scratch resistant and durable. Along the side again you'll see a smoother white plastic, which has kind of got a nice finish to it. So you can see we also have a little slight angle to the bottom here. Along the top it's straighter. So you can see anyway that the front has these bezels, which give you a lot of gripping room to hold the phone in landscape. Along the top you'll find a noise cancellation microphone. We have our sleep-wake button as well as our headphone jack. On the back we'll find our camera, which is an 8 megapixel camera with an LED flash. Now of course you have autofocusing, you have electronic or digital stabilization. This records video at 1080p in 30 frames per second. On the front you can see behind the glass, in addition to an ambient light sensor and proximity sensor, we also have a 2 megapixel front-facing camera, which is good for 720p video at 30 frames per second. We also have our earpiece there, a nice metal grate. On the bottom, you find a little microphone there, as well as our Blackberry logo, which is actually part of the surface area for interacting with the new user interface, and we'll demonstrate that. At the bottom, we'll find our, this is our release port for opening up the back panel, which I'll do in just a minute. Now along the side, we have our volume rocker, as well as that center button, which is a multi-function button, but usually it's used to mute the phone, or you can also press and hold it to bring up voice command. You also have our Blackberry logo with this nice metal inlay in the back panel. So let's go ahead and pop off the back panel so we can get our battery in. Comes off pretty easily. You can also see we have our NFC radio built into the back. So inside we have our port for the battery, you have our camera, we have our SIM slot, our SIM slot's right here, I'm sorry. You have to remove the battery in order to install it, and you have your micro SD expansion slot. So this allows you to expand it up to 64 gigs beyond what is included. So this comes standard with 16 gigs of internal storage. Alright, so let's go ahead and install our Blackberry battery. Slide into place. And we're good, so let's put on the back panel. And we're good, so we're already starting up here. Let me get my fingerprints off. And while we're doing that, let's talk about the specs. So this is a Snapdragon S4 processor running at 1.5 gigahertz. That's a dual-core processor. We also get 2 gigs of RAM. Again, 16 gigs of internal storage. This has all the features you've come to expect from phones, such as accelerometers, magnetometers. You have Bluetooth 4.0. You have dual-band Wi-Fi, ABGN. You also have LTE capabilities in here. So this supports all the latest and greatest in terms of cellular connectivity. Now, in terms of the display, we have a 4.2-inch screen with a resolution of 768 by 1280 that gives us a pixel density of 355 ppi. So we have a very nice, high-quality LCD display here. All right, so let's go ahead and set up our phone for the first time. So we're going to go to English, and then we're going to swipe left to continue. Now it wants me to install my card, which I'm not going to do right now, so I'm going to swipe left to continue. We're going to search for my Wi-Fi network. All right, so my next step is to agree to this warranty information, so I agree. And Blackberry ID, which I do not have. You can create a new one or you can sign into your existing account, so let me go ahead and create a new one. All right, so our next step is a tutorial on how to use the gesture-based operating system. Blackberry 10 is very gesture-based, so it's not immediately obvious on how to use this phone. So of course, the first thing they want to do is train you on how to use it. So let's go ahead and continue. Now, starting with the lock screen, there are 2 ways to wake up the device. You can use the physical button up top to get you to the main lock screen, and then you just swipe up to unlock the device. However, you can also use the touch screen just by tapping the lower part of the screen, and it wakes up. So that's one of the, I think this is the first device I've ever seen that actually uses the touchscreen to unlock it. Most require you to press the physical unlock button. You also have your notification badges up here on the home screen. You can also launch your camera just by tapping and holding the icon until it launches. So there you go. We'll talk about the camera a bit later. Now, also on the lock screen, you can silence the device. So for example, if you swipe down, it goes into silence mode or notifications off. So it turns off all of our notifications, and you can actually activate the alarm from that screen as well. So you can turn that off and on. In terms of our user interface, we actually have several home screens here. So the main home screen is our multitasker, and we have up to 8 suspended or active apps, and each window indicates which app we're using. And actually each window is active, so it gives us updated information through each window. So for example, Twitter feeds and that sort of thing will actually appear here. So they're not just dumb screen grabs of the last state of the app, they're actually active. Now if you swipe right, you'll see our apps. So these are all the pre-installed apps that Blackberry has provided. Now if you swipe all the way to the right, you get your notification panel. This is called Blackberry Hub. So if you tap Blackberry Hub, you get a complete aggregation of everything. You can go to your notifications, you can go to your BBM or text messages, BBM, text messages, you can go to Twitter. So I've logged into my Twitter account, you can see all my Twitter messages, and of course your phone calls. And the great thing about the hub is that you can actually act on these notifications. So let's go back to Twitter here. So let's say I see my Twitter notifications, I can tap on any one of them. Takes us to that message. So you can see that message, and I can go ahead and reply to that without actually launching the app itself. Now, in terms of the apps, we have Contacts, a browser, which is our web browser. We have Calendar, BBM, of course, text messaging, Blackberry World, which is our Blackberry App Store, Music Store, and Video Store. Remember, which is a notification app. Docs2Go, which is a way of transferring documents from your computer to your device for viewing, such as Word documents, Excel documents. Pictures, which is our photo gallery. Music, videos. StoryMaker, which is a video editor. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Foursquare. We have our Maps, which is Blackberry's mapping system. Games, YouTube, Newsstand, voice control. So there is a voice control option here. We have Weather, Clock, Calculator, Compass, File Manager. So there is a built-in file manager here. So if you launch that, you can see all your files. You have direct access to your files, which is fantastic. Let's swipe back here. You also have Box, which is an online storage option. We have Connect to Dropbox, which is a way of connecting to your Dropbox account. Print2Go, which is your printing options. Smart Tags for reading QR codes. You also have Settings, and you have Adobe Reader. You have your phone app, camera, setup, and your help documents. Now also on the home screen, you can see that each page is indicated in this lower tray here. So if we zoom in on that, you can see we have our multitasker and then our 3 pages of apps. As well, you can see your Blackberry Hub. Now, if you swipe up, it takes us to your home screen. No matter where you are, just swipe up, and it'll take you right there. Now, you can also see you have quick access on your home screens to your phone dialer, search, as well as your camera. So if you tap your phone dialer, it takes you right to it. There you go. Swipe up, takes us back to the home screen. You can go to search, and you can do a search. So let's search for Blackberry. Now you can see the Blackberry keyboard here, which of course has haptic feedback. We're going to do Blackberry. Just hit search. All right, so it's doing a number of searches here. So you can search by application, you can search by settings, you can search by browser. Right now I have I've already done a search in my browser, so it sees that, messages, and you can extend search to other apps. So if you want to search your help document, Maps, Blackberry World, Foursquare, Bing, Google, or Yahoo, you can do that. So let's go to Google. So it has a pretty extensive search utility that spans the entire phone and works pretty quickly. So there we go. We have brings up our browser and does a search. Now also similar or familiar to Android is this options icon here. So if you tap that, it brings us to several options here. So you can add a bookmark, add to home screen. You can see site info, download, settings, reload, share. So if you tap share, you have several options to share with people, such as through BBM group, text messaging, Twitter, NFC, or Remember. So Blackberry World contains everything. So it has video, music, as well as apps. So this is where you purchase everything. Now if you tap the lower right corner, you have several options that will appear depending on the context. So for example, this is Blackberry World, so my options are limited to Blackberry World. But if you're in a different app, such as Twitter, you get different options. You can also swipe down here, and you have more options. So you can help, you can see what you've downloaded, you can scan a barcode, or you can go to your settings here. So you can see you have lots of ways of accessing and controlling your apps directly from the app without actually leaving the app. We can take a look. Let's see what we can search for here. Let's go back, and we can see our categories. What I want to do is find some app. Let's go to all. So I can see my categories here: games, apps, music, videos, my world. In fact, I can get to that just by swiping left or right. So we go to apps. And let's see. We got top paid apps. We got top free apps. Let's start with Slacker. We download Slacker Radio. Download. All right, so it should be installed. If we go to our home screen and swipe right, we should see Slacker somewhere right there. It launches Slacker for us. Welcome to Slacker. And there we go. So we have Slacker Radio. I'm not going to go through Slacker, but you get the idea here. Now you have several ways of managing your app screens. So for example, if you want to move any of these apps, just tap and hold on them and just wait for them to start wiggling, or pulsing in this case, and then you can move them around. Now another option you have here are these trash can icons for deleting apps. So if I want to delete Slacker here, it allows me to delete it. Now also on the home screen is a swipe down gesture, which gets you access to your quick settings. So we can toggle Bluetooth on and off. Whoops, it launched Bluetooth. I don't want to do that. Let's go back, swipe up, swipe down. So you can toggle it. You just hit the toggle icon, or you can tap the Bluetooth word to get you to your Bluetooth settings. Now this is contextual, obviously, so it only comes up on your home screen. So if you're in another app, this will disappear. So you have to get back to your home screen to access those features, which I prefer they did it a different way. But you can also jump to your settings. If we go back, you can see all of your settings here. So there's lots and lots of settings, which I'm not going to go to in great detail here, but you have plenty of options here in order to control your device. Now instead of a drop-down with your notifications, Blackberry handles notifications differently. So in order to access them, or in order to view them, all you have to do is swipe up, and you can see on the left your notification badges. And if you swipe right, it'll take you right to them. Now Blackberry also features this notification light, so anytime you get a new notification, you'll see this little light pulsate every few seconds. Now we also have voice control, which you can activate by tapping and holding the mute button.
Welcome. Please set up voice control.
All right, the first thing I need to do is set it up. We can go to English. We're going to use English. Now these are things you can say. So you can say call this, send an email, send a BBM message, send a text message, schedule an appointment, compose a note to myself, so we'll take notes for you, search the internet, search your device, change your Facebook status, post a tweet, or update LinkedIn status. So let's try some of these.
How can I help you?
Post to Twitter. I'm doing great with my new Blackberry.
Your tweet says I'm doing great with my new Blackberry. Do you want to post your tweet now?
No. Search the internet for Blackberry.
Searching the internet for Blackberry.
All right, so it wants to go to landscape mode here for some reason. But there you go, you get a web search, and it did Bing by default, so that's kind of interesting. Hopefully you can change that under settings. Set a reminder for tomorrow at 8 o'clock to post a new video.
Your reminder says, to post on new video. Do you want to save your reminder now?
Sure, save.
Your reminder has been saved.
All right, so you get some, assistant capabilities there, so you can actually interact with your device. And I think one of the greatest things about Siri, which Google Voice doesn't do for you, or Google Now doesn't do for you, which is create appointments. So at least the Blackberry offers that feature. So we can do other searches. Let's do something like math. What is 35 times 85.8?
Do you want to search the internet for what is 35x8520? What would you like to do?
So you can see that BlackBerry can't do things like arithmetic, which Google Now and Siri can do. Now I know you guys are probably interested in the YouTube app. So if I launch the YouTube app, it's actually launching within the browser. So this is the browser version. It's not a dedicated app. In fact, if you tap down here, you can see we have our URL bar here. If you tap that, you can see our tabs or pages open in the background. So let's go ahead and launch one of my videos. Let's go to Show More, go to Uploads, and yes, you can log into this like you could the mobile version of YouTube. Go to Uploads. You can see my previous uploads. Click Play.
What's up, guys? Mike here, the Detroit Borg, with a look at the
It's a little more sluggish,
Pixel.
than a dedicated app. So right now, come on, go to landscape. There we go.
Indicated by the Pixel name, of course.
Now the interesting thing here is that the panel port here, the port you use to pop off the panel, is actually the speaker outlet. So the speaker is somewhere back here behind the device, so it's kind of broadcasting on this side. The audio quality is okay, certainly normal for most phones.
If you want 64 gigs of internal storage, you have to upgrade to the...
And the interesting thing here is when you use the volume controllers, you actually get the sort of media controller here. So you can play, pause, that sort of thing. So no matter what media you're playing, you can actually control it as soon as you hit the volume button.
1449 version.
Now, another app I want to show you is Maps, which I've been using here previously. So let me get back. What I did is a search for Crest Lincoln, which is my Lincoln dealership. So it finds the destination, and it knows where I currently am located. So all I have to do is hit Go.
Getting route.
It's getting the route here. I'm going to hide where I am right now. So there's my destination. I can pinch in and zoom. I can also go to Show Traffic, and I can hit Start to Start navigation. So here you can zoom in and out. Now what you don't see here is satellite view. So you can't do a satellite view like you could with Google Maps. So it's kind of a limited mapping function, but you do get turn-by-turn navigation. You can see how much time it's going to take me to get there under the current traffic conditions and how many miles I have to go. Now in terms of email, this is where things are a little different from iOS or Android. So instead of opening up a dedicated app like you're used to with those platforms, email is actually built into the device's operating system. So in order to access it, all you have to do is swipe right to get to your BlackBerry hub. So I'm actually in an email account right now. So that's my Gmail account. Now before I go any further, I just want to show you how you can add your account. So go to Settings. Try again, Settings, come on. All right, so under Settings, you can see if we go to Accounts here. So we go to Accounts, you can see I've had my Gmail accounts added, so all I have to do is go to Add an Account, and you have several ways to do this. You can add your Facebook account, and you can add your email accounts, LinkedIn, Evernote accounts, etc. You can also go to Advanced for more detailed options. So you can add a Yahoo account, Hotmail account, Pop, IMAP, CalDAV, or CarDAV accounts, or even a Microsoft Exchange account. So anyway, that's how you add your accounts. So once you've done that, they do appear under your BlackBerry hub here. So if we go to Hub, go to Gmail. There's my Gmail account. And here I can compose a message. So here we go. I have my address book here, but I don't want to bring it up because I don't want to show you my address book. But all you have to do is type in a message, brings up our keyboard, and this gives me an opportunity to show you how the keyboard works. Now, BlackBerry has done some very interesting things with the touchscreen keyboard in order to improve performance. Now, one of them is a heat sensor behind the glass or behind the touch display, which determines where your fingers are pressing the display. The idea here is that it learns your behavior. So if you intend to type a letter and you keep typing a different letter by mistake, it automatically determines that and will adjust the touch points to your typing style. So the more you use the keyboard, the better it gets. It also has predictive text. It's also telling me that my battery's low. But moving on to the typing demo, you can see that if I just type something like, how's your day? So if I type H-O, you can see my next word would be W, so I can swipe up and it will type how. I type a space. The next likely word is one of the options, or to, or was. So you get the idea that it's able to determine what your next likely word is. So you can possibly, whoops, I have to swipe up in order to select it. Let's do is, space, your. I don't see your, so let's start typing your. So I see your already. Day. So you can see you do have to get used to it, but it works pretty well. Now you can also hide the keyboard just by tapping and holding the space bar to get rid of it. Now you also have voice dictation just by tapping and holding the icon. How's your day going? Question mark. So it works very similar to Siri's voice dictation or Apple's voice dictation. So you speak your sentence and press the microphone when you're done and it renders it for you. So it worked pretty well. Now in terms of the camera app, this is pretty familiar territory to most Android or iOS users, a very similar interface, but you do get a few BlackBerry exclusives. Now let's go through the basics here. So we have our viewer here, and we don't have tap to focus here, so if you tap the screen, it automatically takes a photo for you. You can also use the volume button to take a photo. Now, so you can see it automatically focuses for you. It also has face detection. You can switch what mode you're in just by going up here. You can switch between still mode or video camera mode. Again, also works the same. If you tap the screen, it automatically starts recording the video for you. You can also use the physical button. We also have something called time lapse. Now, the neat thing about this is it takes a bunch of photos in sequence as soon as you hit the shutter release. So you can hear that multiple clicking sound, and this allows you to select the best photo. This is particularly good for faces because it has face detection. I can't demonstrate that without a person, but it has face detection and will automatically take all those photos for you. So you can use the scrubber to find the perfect face. So for example, if somebody is winking, you can avoid that and find the right photo where they're not winking or if they're not smiling, that sort of thing. And all you have to do is click the check mark. Saves it to your gallery. You can go to your gallery. Now, if you're in your gallery, you have sharing options here, so you can share it with your various accounts. Go to cancel there. And you also have some editing options. And there's a lot of editing options. It's actually a very extensive editor. So, for example, you can change your filter here. You also have other controls like grain, aged photo, film strip, cartoon. You have your lighting controls, brightness, white balance, sharpness, saturation, noise reduction, and you can crop it as well. So, and if you tap the menu button, you can go to Return to Original, and there you go. So you have a nice, really nice built-in photo editor. Now, getting back to our still camera, we have several other options here. So we can switch the camera from front to back. We can also change our shooting mode, so we can do the normal shooting. We have stabilization, so it'll stabilize our shot for us. We can also change our scene mode. We can go to auto, whiteboard, beach or snow. Now this changes, the scene mode options change depending on what shooting mode you're in. So if you're in stabilization, you have fewer options. Burst mode is very interesting. So with burst mode, you can basically tap the screen or hold the release shutter, the shutter release, and it will take a series of photos until you're done. So let's demonstrate that. So there you can see the counter in the left. It's taking lots and lots of photos, and then you can go to your gallery and take a look at every one of them. Now, just to give you an idea of the size comparison between the iPhone 5 and the BlackBerry Z10, you can see that the Z10 is a larger phone, even though both have a similar screen size. We have a 4.2-inch screen versus a 4-inch screen, so the iPhone, of course, is smaller. But the BlackBerry Z10 has more bezel space, so there's more room around the screen. That's partly needed because of the touch areas at either side of the screen, so you need a little surface area in order to press your finger. So, of course, the construction is very different. We have plastic versus metal and glass here. This feels more durable, more, less prone to scratching. This is something you probably can feel comfortable not carrying around in a case. because it is fairly durable. Feels very comfortable, feels very light. I think it's a comfortable size. I'm not a big fan of large phones just because they're harder to use, because you can't use them quickly because you have to position the phone in your hand every time you want to perform an action. In this case, everything is pretty reachable by one thumb without moving the phone around too much. So it's a very comfortable size, very nice, high quality. The screen looks very good. So overall, I'm pretty impressed so far with this phone. So in conclusion, I'm definitely impressed by the Blackberry Z10. I like the design. It's a very nice, lightweight phone. Feels very comfortable to use. Has a beautiful screen. The operating system on this hardware works very smoothly. It's very quick, very stable. And I really like the gesture-based user interface. For me, it came as second nature. It's pretty easy to understand once you get used to it. Once you understand the principles behind it, it works pretty well. The basic principles are: if you swipe up, it takes you to the main home screen, which is your multitasker. If you swipe right, it takes you to your apps. If you swipe down, it brings up your contextual menu. In this case, it brings up my widgets on the home screen. If you're in an app, it brings up something different. If you swipe all the way to the right, you get your notification center or Blackberry hub, which is where you can act upon a lot of things. So it's definitely a productivity center. It's geared toward productivity. I really like this. I like working within the notification center. So I think it's great that you can see your notifications and act upon them while you're in that center or notification center. Now the big issue will always be content, because Blackberry 10 is a very new operating system. There's very little content there in the App Store. So for example, an app I use a lot is Instagram. Other apps are not included, such as Skype. There isn't a native YouTube app, so the YouTube app they've included is actually the web app, so it runs kind of slowly. So things like that are a problem, but BlackBerry does have a pretty extensive marketplace for content such as video and music, so you can live within the BlackBerry universe pretty comfortably. Alrighty guys, so that's going to do for me in this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.